Hello and welcome back to Traffic Talks. Today's episode doesn't really have structure, and I've been playing what to call these random episodes I plan on throwing in. I've toyed around with using roadside rambles. I've toyed with using pit stop pep talks is what I decided I wanted to call these episodes. Just randomly thrown in once a month or so, just to give myself and you guys an update on where I am overall. Last week Thursday I wanted to record this episode and I actually have the structure written down completely. I know exactly what I want to talk about. I know how I want to say it, what I want to say. I've done my research on the topic that I want to talk about. Like, everything is laid out nicely and I'm just not feeling it. Like, I'm excited about the topic. I love it. I want to talk about it. I'm so excited because it's about habits and things that you can do in the lockdown. And this is basically following up on my previous podcast of what you can do during the lockdown and how to work on those habits yourself. I didn't want to record that particular podcast because I just wasn't feeling it. I have so much going on mentally, physically, and emotionally that it's not what I want to talk about. And I'm someone who's a firm believer in the phrase of when in doubt, don't. That has been something I've had to figure out, and it's a motto I've made up and I use. And when in doubt, don't. And I was doubting, should I record this podcast? Should I not? And then every single time when I sit down to record it, I just don't want to record it because I feel like it's not what I need to speak about this week. Procrastination station is where I was at. This was Thursday and I just didn't get there. I've been umming and ahhing about it. I'm finally sitting now on a Sunday afternoon. It's just after 4, 4:15, and I'm finally going to record what I want to say. And this is just going to be me rambling about where I am right now. The news broke that we have extended the lockdown by 2 weeks. We are in lockdown until the end of April. I've made some decisions concerning that. I'm working from home. I got into a discussion with my boss on the phone, and I was just not happy with what was said from both sides. I had voiced certain concerns. They weren't answered or dealt with in any way, shape, or form, and I just didn't like what happened. So we'll see what happens work-wise. That is something that has been weighing on me. I physically cannot do anything about it because I'm working from home. As much of a blessing as this job has been, it's caused more harm than good. And I've luckily been able to see the red flags and been able to recognize them and see them and accept them, acknowledge them, and take them for what they are. Before, this work did more harm than good in my life because with a previous job that has happened, and I will happily go into that another day, but not today. Maybe next month I'll, if I'm in another job, make a podcast about it, my previous work experiences. Work-wise, I'm not happy, and it's not because of the work itself. I've gotten so many amazing clients that I've worked with. I've gotten amazing written feedback of clients saying, thank you for the service. I've received excellent service. Or even if there was a problem, they've been like, thank you for being able to resolve my issue. Or if they made a mistake and you know, there's something that needs to be done, they're like, so sorry for the inconvenience, but thank you for the service, regardless of it being, you know, my fault, as in the client's fault that there was a problem. So it's not the job itself, it's all the other factors around it. And a lot of times, I don't know how many people out there can relate, but sometimes dealing with those nonsense issues is fine because the work is fine. But with this, there's just too many factors that I'm not willing to keep putting up with just to work this job. I'm not sure how much detail I went into and how much I told you guys regarding it, but I was basically sideswiped by a taxi and my boss said I could leave 30 minutes earlier. And for someone who just got into a minor accident, telling them they can leave 30 minutes earlier when I was completely distraught is not a way to handle the situation. That was one small thing that needed immediate attention and it wasn't dealt with. That kind of made me see the other red flags. it kind of like takes the rose glasses off and makes you see all the other flags that you just thought were like plain flags are actually red flags. And it made me actually see them, acknowledge them, and like be like, but this is not actually okay, and like, oh, but that happened and that's actually not okay. And it's made me reevaluate everything work-wise. Like I said, I love my job, I love my colleague that I worked with and the previous one who did leave, but there's just other surrounding factors about it. For example, the traveling. That was a main issue and it still hasn't been dealt with. The times that I work is another issue. Like, there's a lot of things outside of the job itself that are more important factors than the work itself. Clearly I'm thriving working from home, but that's going to be an issue going forward. So I'll need to work it out and deal with it, but it's definitely something that's been weighing on me. Like I said, red flags, I've seen them. It took me 9 months and near death to figure it out the last time, and seeing it a month and a half in, 2 months into this new job has been revolutionary because it shows me that I've grown as a person and I've learnt from previous mistakes. That's definitely a plus. Furthermore, physically, I've actually gone kind of like a roller coaster in terms of physical fitness because I was so excited to actually exercise from home and get all those things done, yet I've barely gotten into exercising early on into the lockdown. And over the past week, I did get back out my yoga mat and start with it. So I've been proud of that progress. I'm just going to look at it as slowly getting back into exercise so that when the lockdown is lifted, I can get back into my gym, can get back into those kind of things and just thrive thereafter. I do know that I don't have as much space to exercise, but I think if I can lay out my yoga mat, I'm good. And I have been pulling it out and going for it. So that, I think, it will get better as we go along. Physically, I've slept a bit more the past 2 days, which has been wonderful. And that did definitely help my state of mind. Because I know if I don't get sleep, I'm sick. Like the moment I start not getting enough sleep, I'm sick. My immune system tanks. Which is why my sleep has been like my goal for this year to really work on. That is definitely something like I said previously, I'm cracking down on, and these past 2 days have done me wonders. That is definitely something I've ticked off and I'm getting there. I've been building my routines. So I have an evening routine that I have been getting into that helps me settle down better at night and fall asleep easier, I'd say. It still takes me a while to drift off, but is better than that of previous nights and weeks and months. So I'll definitely say it's improving, which is brilliant. That is brilliant. So kudos, proud of myself, pat on the back, yay. I will also say that I'll probably get into this next week more in depth because next week is a habits episode and I'm going to get into my routines and habits that I've started. And one of those is making sure that my evening routine is focused on going as minimal electronic wise, because I have noticed at work I'm on my computer from 8 till 5 and then I'm on my phone the rest of the hours that I'm not on my computer. So it's just a lot of blue light and electronics and things that I'm trying to definitely cut down and bring completely like off before I go sleep, to definitely try and not bombard myself with firstly the blue light, but also like you get sucked into these, I don't know, pitfalls of like social media or just checking this on your phone or just checking that, and then before you know it 30 minutes pass and you're like, crap. Like for me it's Pinterest, and like I've done this previously where I'm just like scrolling on Pinterest for like 40 minutes and I'm just like, what happened? No. Definitely cutting back on that has been hard, but I have an interesting book that I'm reading. Like I said, next week, definitely going to get into that. I'm very excited for it. Physical health, I know my sleep is important for my body, so I focus on that. And then moving my body as well, I make sure I step away from my computer and walk around, make sure my eyes don't like stay on my screen for too long. And my Fitbit also has this thing where it like reminds you to get up and move at least once every hour. So I make sure to try and get those steps in and just take like a quick lap wherever I can. So that is definitely the physical aspect. The emotional aspect, what can I say? My emotions have been all over the place. And that's not for any particular reason except for the fact that I've just been experiencing a range of emotions. Certain things happen and I'm happy. I get a phone call and I'm upset. I have to deal with certain idiots or someone calls me and they're just like, thank you so much. And I'm just like, you're so welcome. And that just makes me smile because I'm knowing I'm helping someone. Or, taking care of my family makes me happy. So I go do that and then I'm happy. And then I have to deal with someone being, oh, I need this urgently. Can you please do this right now? Like, I can't wait. And then they just like ruin my vibe kind of a thing. I think it's more of like a normal fluctuation because I usually get over that like real quick. Or like, I'm just like, how dare you upset me like this? And then I go and then I do the thing and I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm giving it back to you. Go on with your life. Like, get it out really fast. I think I have mentioned previously, I'm like an annoyingly positive person. So I kind of just like try and focus with positivity and be like, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to send it off to you and I'm going to just wish you well because like you tried to ruin my day. You didn't succeed. I'm be happy and try and move on. So that's kind of the way I deal with it. So I try and stay positive even if I'm not happy. And if all does, excuse my language, go to I will definitely just be like, you know what? I think it's a Johnny Depp quote. He said, it's a bad day, not a bad life. And then I usually just try again tomorrow, see what happens. Yeah, that is where the emotions have been. And I think it's a natural part of life for things to fluctuate like this. I do think also it's been influenced by the fact that my mom is not here. I usually speak to her a lot and that has gone down significantly because she's stuck like hours away, which is more of a blessing in disguise because for one, we've learned to deal with a lot of things at home without her, but two, she's safer where she is. She's older. The pandemic could get to her much easier because of her age and she is asthmatic and things like that. So that was one of our fears, but she is completely safe where she is. So we have no stress about that and that is nice. But for us, it has been hard, but it's been fine. I just don't get to speak to as much as I would like. I mean, you guys know when I spoke about my job initially, I was like, I'm sitting in the morning with like 2 hours of traffic. I'm sitting in an hour traffic. I'm so busy when I get home that I don't have time to talk to her. And the weekends are also so frantic. Her not being here when there is vital time for that has been upsetting, but I think it's more for, like I said, it's more of a blessing in disguise because I'm able to once again bring in the positivity, see it from a side of it's going to do good even though it's going to be hard now. In the long run, we're all going to come out better and stronger and more capable human beings, and being able to do things for ourselves that we didn't initially get the opportunity to do when she was here. Having that has been mind-blowing, a little bit annoying, a lot of trial and error, but so much. It's been so much of a positive thing for us as individuals. So that is definitely something I'm going to count as a plus and take with going forward. Next one. We've spoken about physical, mental, emotional health kind of things and work-wise what's going on. And one thing I definitely wanted to mention with this whole thing was the financial implications that I think people don't really get. Like, there are a lot of people, especially people who get paid per day they work. For example, domestic workers, construction workers, people who sometimes even get weekly pay. It's been hectic because some people haven't been paid. And I mean, good Lord, it's easy to send someone to work with 2 slices of bread or a child to school with 2 slices of bread. But when you're at home, you get hungry and you want to eat everything that there is, and there isn't much to eat. And then you need to go to the shops and the bills pile up like you cannot believe. So financially, this has been honestly an exercise in futility. Just flip, it's been expensive. I honestly don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, fun to work from home because I'm lucky enough to be able to have a job that allows me to work from home. But for the other people out there who can't afford this has been horrific. And there are people who are refusing to pay their employees, which is even more crazy to me and just blatantly disrespectful. I see things from a different perspective, and to not pay your employees is not only unethical but disrespectful. These are the people that keep your business going when you're on holiday. These are people who are doing the grunt work while you just sit back and reap, the benefits of the business. And that to me is like I said, it's disrespectful. How dare you? Like that's one of my biggest things. It's respect. You respect others by showing how you want to be respected. If you respect someone, you'll show up on time. If you respect someone, you'll make effort. If you respect someone, you'll do things that you would do for yourself. And sometimes even things you wouldn't do for yourself. It's going that extra mile for people. And as a boss, to not do that is something I can't stand. And I do sometimes clash with management because of it. And they're probably just trying to protect their pockets, and I'm just trying to protect myself and the people that I work with, because I can't stand that kind of thing. I just can't with some of these people. And now the government is trying to do all sorts of things financially to make it work, and it's just not getting there. And I'm just like, shame. Like, aside from my heart bleeding for people because of this thing, I just feel sad that these people have disrespected their employees, and that their employees have no power to do anything. Like, they can't quit because they need the money, but they can't stay because it hurts them. But they can't leave. It's like the world's worst catch-22. It sucks. There's just no other way to describe it. I can't. I really, really can't stand it. It upsets me. Yeah, it's not fair. That have a boss that suffer the most. There are people who sell things on the side of the road, like fruit vendors or whatever, and they're losing their livelihoods because of this. Because they don't have the proper records, they don't have proper paperwork, and now the government is going to punish them for trying to make a living and trying to make ends meet. So the financial implications of this virus have just been horrific. They could be doing so much other things. Like, us as human beings can be doing productive things with our time. The government could have probably sorted out this whole train mess by now. If the government could use this time to set up a proper, or to rather set up the proper infrastructure for public transport and get it up and running, so that by the time the influx happens of all of us going back to work, that all the train lines and buses and taxis and stuff are running optimally, we'd be much better off. I mean, making sure people get to work on time is going to increase productivity. It's going to increase production. That is going to increase, output in places. That's going to increase profits, increase maybe getting people employed, increase the economy. The trickle-down effects of something as simple as fixing our public transport will have huge benefits. But no one thinks about these things because they're too busy trying to line their pockets with quick cash instead of thinking in the long term. And that's the one thing that actually ruined this country in the first place. Greed. That's just my opinion. I honestly think they could do something about it. We'll see. I'd honestly just like to be like a dictator for a little while. I would honestly, let's just do this for a second. If I was a dictator and I could run this country for a little while, I'd shut it down. Like this lockdown, except I'd prep us so much better. I would literally have people make packages of food, shut the country down, and have packages delivered to people on a rotation. So the only people traveling across the country are people who are delivering these food parcels. And then additional people go with them, and they get all their details. Like, you need to have your ID with you. They'll take pictures, they'll take fingerprints, they'll take ID document, details and stuff. And I will basically redo the census of this country while delivering food parcels and making sure everyone who's in this country is documented, even if you're an illegal immigrant. Because a lot of the times, illegal immigrants are actually the ones working harder than some of the people who were born in this country. Because a lot of people have this attitude of the government owes them something. No one owes you anything. The fact that you were born and you are alive is of honestly no consequence to anything else in this world. You're born, you die. End of story. What happens in between is up to you. And that's something people don't see or think about or even comprehend. As much as it is as you are important, you are also extremely irrelevant. And that's not to be negative. That's actually being very positive. You should make your mark out there so you're never forgotten. Time is fleeting on this planet. And especially now in this time of this virus, I just said to my sister yesterday, you could die tomorrow. We could come out of this lockdown, you breathe the wrong air, and boom, you're dead. So do what you want to do, but make your mark and go all out. Sorry, I digress. I would take census of the country and basically reissue ID cards, because I'm probably going to find duplicates. Got your fingerprint, got your ID, got your picture, reissue ID documents and stuff. Have separate ones for illegal immigrants and give them all the paperwork they need to work. And figure out what the ratio is of illegal immigrants working to the unemployed people in the country. Figure that out. And basically just find a way to make our country produce the things we need instead of importing. Once we have ourselves sorted out, we can help out other countries. It's that simple old biblical quote of, the cup runneth over. And the thing is, if your cup don't runneth over, you can't help others. So fill up your own cup. With our country, we need to fill up our own cup. We need to do for ourselves first before trying to outdo others. Or even trying to just help other countries and things. Because that is something we need to refocus on. We need to figure out how to figure out our own problems first before we can try and solve other countries' problems, or even just get involved with other countries. We are a third world country only because we are so young in our everything, in our freedom, in our growth, in our technology, in our everything. I mean, certain rights are still not allowed completely, or if they are, they're so new, people don't even know about it. And the fact that we are so blind to these beautiful things that we have is insane. But it just brings back to a point that I've made previously of you can't do better if you don't know better. If you aren't aware that there's a problem, you can't solve it. To South Africa, we have a problem, people, and we need to figure it out and solve it. We need to solve our own unemployment issues. We need to solve our own financial issues. We need to learn to do things for ourselves. And if that means reading from another place, so be it. Apply those principles, see if they work, or even if you see the principle, apply it to us in our own unique way. I've read a lot of things overseas about how when people turn 18 they move out. Who in South Africa even does that? Like, we move out when we either A, get kicked out, B, when we get married, or C, when we just like, nope, I can't stand this anymore, I'm upset, I'm leaving, and we go. But there's never really a thing of when you're 18 you leave the house. That is not a thing. And in America, people actually feel like a failure if they can't do that. And I'm just like, how is it a failure to live at home? You get 3 square meals a day. You get so many benefits and perks. Yeah, you don't have as much freedom, but like, you can still go out. Like, it's not a prison. Like, that is not how this whole thing works. So, find principles maybe from other places and try and apply it to yourself. Or if you already have something going, share it with others. That is what all the social media stuff is about, people. Just help one another, be neighborly. Use that old phrase of Ubuntu. Have that spirit and share it and do what you can where you are. To get all the dominoes to fall, you only need one pushed over. Be that one to start something. And go forth, make it happen. And if I would be allowed to be a dictator for a while, I honestly think I would do pretty good. Not to blow my own horn. But yeah, I just think we need a good dictatorship and someone who actually wants what's best for the country and not what's best for themselves. So, yeah, we need to figure out our own things before we can help anyone else. Least of all other countries that are supposedly first world. I mean, what does that even mean? We have some of the best scenery, we have some of the best tourist attractions. Like, what's not to love? Like really, South Africa is an epic place. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I'm gonna ramble about. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm so far gone about this. I think I've said everything I needed to say. This was a very lethargic experience. So thank you for bearing with me, and I'll see you in next week's podcast. Thank you for listening to this roller coaster of a podcast. I will see you guys next week, or rather, you guys will listen to me next week. Hopefully. I'm gonna go now and enjoy the week further, guys. Just another, few weeks. We can do this. Okay. Love you. Bye.